Retro styles games are hot, crispy, burning, sensational, sexy horn. No, not like that. But hey, they are popular because old school games never stopped rocking. It's like an Adele song. The only difference here is that retro gems actually stay good after tons of replays. Developer Look at My Game is no longer a version since the release of Chronicles of Teddy, Harmony of Exidus, which is their firstborn. Exidus Games is the publisher and we know them of releasing franchises like Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, so regarding their choice there, I would say it's a very nice move. Maybe you, my fellow Gameplayaholics, saw me play it during my daily live streams and can guess what the outcome will be. If not, then buckle up and write this one out. Is this another gem that can be placed next to, by example, Shovel Knight? Or is this a title that doesn't even deserve one a bit? After I did some digging, I found out that this game actually has a first part, since this version was already released on Steam earlier on, only with a different name, Finding Teddy 2. As far as the first game, this is a completely different piece of work, since the original Finding Teddy was basically a point and click game. Now at the end of it all, it gave them a solid ground to work with, and henceforth we have this release. The story starts with a girl whose teddy bear all of a sudden starts to float and wanders off into another world where it gets stolen. It is your job to save him by traveling through a variety of worlds, defeating monsters and collecting the required items to make it all the way to the end. The story is very simple and doesn't give you much to work with, so let's just move on. The moment you step into this game is the moment you will start to mention a shitload of classics who are of the category legendary. Thinking about, for example, The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Castlevania, and the list goes on. Chronicles of Teddy has a Metroidvania gear in its clock, thus forcing you to explore every nook and cranny, and I can tell you this, it never gets old. No matter how many times you revisit a world, it's still nice to walk around in it. At a certain point early on you will find the musicom. This instrument is required to communicate with the inhabitants. Sometimes you come across areas where you have a certain wave of tones which you can match with your instrument in order to unlock fireflies. Now are you a real collector when it comes to finding everything in games? Then it will be a blast finding these fireflies, items, life drops to expand your life and more. Now when I say more, I mean that there's actually a shop where you can buy upgrades for your sword and armor. Now marbles are your source of income and can be put on your account to save up the amount required for the item that you want. A fair warning here though, because when you die you will lose around half of your marbles, it never gets old saying that, so you might want to consider bringing them to the shop in time. Other special items can be found in here who will ease your progress a bit, like resurrections, diamonds and such. Okay, so they aren't called dungeons in this game since the developer calls them palaces, but each world has a palace/dungeon, I know I still did it, where new power is hidden, and a boss who guards one of the 4 acts required to open the big door in the castle. Of course, there are much more doors and a lot of them require a specific line or tune as you may, and it's your job to find the right location that will tell you what you actually need to say/play, well, you get my point. Want to know what each note means? Then just look in the lexicon and discover an entire library of lines and words with the right pair of notes, that is if you met the new inhabitants who learned you these. As I said earlier, you are going to need new skills to progress through certain areas in the palaces, to backtrack your way through the variety of worlds and relocate places you couldn't reach first. Grab your map and go back to the blue marked areas to check if you can unlock that location. The fireflies, however, are not marked on the map, so that is something you are going to have to remember for yourself. Sure, it might not be the only title out there that goes all retro on your nerdy ass, but this here game is gorgeous from the get-go, as the environments are beautifully crafted. There were however moments where it felt a tad empty, but Teddy mostly feels mysterious and is daring you to traverse more of the worlds altogether. Vibrant colors with simple but correct monster designs and gigantic looking guardians blocking your path to the next palace, which is in its turn of course housing an amazing boss. I mean, these are those graphics that you want to see for yourself and be surprised by. This is simplicity meets beauty in its purest form. The music in Teddy is actually quite good and sometimes mythical, and while most worlds their tracks are great, some are better than others. While it all sounds amazing, it wasn't when the music completely vanished on me twice. One of these times was during a boss fight which killed the vibe for a moment. Now this doesn't have to happen to everyone since each and every PS4 system appears to have its own flaws. Effects work how they should and that's fine, plus who doesn't love it when there's an epic tune after defeating a boss. The replay value of this game is pretty interesting since it has a plus game function where you can keep all your found stuff and continue finding all the other secrets, which are quite a few. So there's definitely some value to be found here, and then I'm not even talking about the trophies for the PS4, for example. There are also some extra doors to be found in the castle with more challenges behind them. If you, by the way, want to reset stuff for the plus game, this is possible as well. Chronicles of Teddy Harmony of Exidus is an amazing game, a fairy tale that is told by using Metroidvania as its subgenre. Searching through worlds that look like this is no punishment at all, and the fact that the gameplay contains a lot of stuff grabbed from classics like The Legend of Zelda is no torture either, especially since this is done in the right way, so retro, mythical, adventurous and more. It's all in this game, so be sure to grab this title whenever you have the chance. I give this gem a score of 80%. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and visit my website, Facebook or Twitter every now and then. Gameplayaholic is out.